You are now listening to the Nasi Lemak Podcast. I'm Cynthia.
I'm Xiang
So today, let's talk about what we actually do other than podcast. I mean, this podcast is kind of side job for us.
Not a side job. It's actually our in-house media.
Okay, but actually before that, I want to share an experience. So last week, we had this summon offer thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so I went to
DBKL.
Yeah, I actually went to there, KLCC Convention Center to help my family pay the saman. I want to bring up this topic is because my experience about it. So I was quite early. I reached there around 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then at first I have a stereotype that all the police will be very fierce, like garang. But they all turn out to be very friendly instead. Like each and every police officer that I ask, like I have question and I ask like, police saya minta tolong how is this supposed to be, something like that. Then they are all very, very friendly.
Of course. I do not know why there's always this stereotype saying that police, or even police officers is actually garang, or even they are, some people even say police is biadab, means that they do not have manners. But in fact, no. I mean, as a law enforcer, as a police officer, is definitely cannot deny there is still police officers that's very garang. But then I would say police officer, abang police, other friendly.
Abang police, kakak police, semua very friendly. Yeah,
Yep.
That's my experience lah. Okay,
Yep.
Anyway, so let's go into our topic today. Maybe you can share a bit about what we actually do.
What we actually do, in short, we are actually a creative production company. So what we do is actually we produce photographies and also video contents for corporates and brands.
Alright, anyway, so the main point of this episode is to share one of our recent exciting filming experience, which is filming an aircraft.
Not only just aircraft, it's actually entire airline. This airline is not the passenger airline that we used to know, but a cargo brand. So it's a cargo airline.
To be honest, I've only boarded an airplane for 4 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never encountered with any cargo airplanes before.
Yep.
So other than boarding the airplane, I've never been so close to an aircraft. But when you first received this project, right, what was your thought that time?
To be honest, it's very exciting. Even though this project is not like a very major scale project, it's considered a minor scale project. But then for the very first time when I know that we are going to film for this airline, right, it's super exciting. You know what's the reason? The main reason is that actually fulfilled my childhood dream. Because basically since I was a kid, right, I always did have this. There's always two ambitions in my mind. One is to become a police officer, like what you said just now, abang police. Second is to be a pilot, because since I was a kid, I always admire or even like really so into all these things that can fly in the sky, aircraft lah, or
police
even
officer cannot fly in the sky.
God, not too much, I would say, like helicopters or fighter jets. So since I was a kid, I was really into all these like things that can fly in the air. And yeah, apparently like police tak jadi, being a pilot also tak jadi. But now with what I'm doing right now, it actually fulfill part of my dream, getting so close to the aircraft or even getting so close to the airplane. And also like what's even best, like we are walking into the airfield and also, the runway and so on, like with that experience is really exciting. That was my first thought in my mind when I got notified that we are going to film this project.
So to be honest, I wasn't being really too excited when you first told me about this project. But up until I stepped inside the aircraft
when
itself,
you physically saw it, right?
Saw the aircraft and then standing underneath it, only then I start to feel the excitement.
And some more, like it's not just only standing next to the aircraft, like we eventually went into the pilot cockpit.
Yeah.
And like during the first day of the filming, right? It was just only me myself, due to certain arrangement issues. So just only me went into it. And when the aircraft landed, I got into the aircraft to do some interview with the pilot, right? And the pilot apparently asked me, "Hey, like, do you want to have a seat at the pilot seat?" I mean, that is like, wow. The very first thing that came into my mind was like, wow. Finally I have this opportunity to sit on it. But due to respect and also due to takut lah, as in like, there's so many buttons, there's so many things on the
Accidentally
dashboard.
mispress
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, that's the second thoughts coming into my mind. So I just like, oh, okay, no worry. Like I'm fine with it. We'll just proceed with whatever that the filming is going on.
Yeah. But I think my excitement is actually also affected by one of the challenging part of filming the aircraft, which is the process of waiting to go inside the airfield.
Yeah.
So it took us very, very long time just
Few
to
hours.
wait outside.
Yeah.
3 hours wait outside to wait for the pass and everything to go inside the airfield. And we have to wait for a long time for escort car to escort us inside.
Yeah.
Because we can't really drive our car, like simply just drive inside the
correct.
aircraft. We have to wait for an escort, and then that takes time.
Yeah, due to security issues.
Yeah, so that kind of, my excitement level kind of go low while waiting. But somehow my excitement level got higher up when I was like underneath the airplane itself lah. And to be honest lah, other than this part of like waiting process, right? Another thing that when you first told me about this project, right, my excitement level is not that high because like the filming schedule. Let's say we fix the date. Okay, today we're going to film. And then suddenly, like few days earlier, they were like, oh, sorry, you have to cancel plan. We have to change filming date. So we have to change all our filming schedules.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why somehow my excitement level
kind of potong steam in a way.
It's not that that high lah.
Yeah.
But to you personally, what part do you think is the most challenging part throughout this project?
Most challenging part, I would say, at the beginning is the scheduling part, what you mentioned. Because like for this particular project, the schedule has been rescheduled many times. It has been cancelled, postponed. I wouldn't say it's the client issues. I wouldn't say it's our issues, but due to security concerns and also due to airport is a very busy place. There is so many flights in and out, inbound, outbound, every day, every single hour, and so on. So due to the scheduling issues in the airport, so our production schedule also have been switching from time to time.
Yeah, so in short, our filming schedule is very much depending on the flight schedule.
Correct.
And we also face issue in terms of applying permit for us to go in and film.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. I mean, in my life, or the past 10 years in the production industry, right, we have been filming so many different projects, like including getting into the oil and gas stations, and getting into the oil rig. This is the very first time we facing that difficulties in terms of getting permits.
Yeah, our permit keep being rejected.
Yeah,
and you have
resubmit.
to resubmit, reschedule everything. And when you reschedule your date, right, when let's say you propose this date, you are not 100% guaranteed that you will be able to film on this date.
Yeah.
And eventually this will affect our other filming schedules as well. So we have to look in a big picture and see how to move things around.
Yeah, that is the very first challenge I would say that we face at the beginning of the project. And if let's say talking about the challenges in the project itself, in the production itself, I would say is because cargo plane, the moment they landed and they park, right, there is a short period of turnaround, like unloading, loading, and everything. And our mission for this project is actually to film the entire activities, including the airplane landing,
taking off, and then the
taking off, landing, and then like unloading the goods, and also loading in the goods, and also all these activities happen around
on ground.
And the duration probably is probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maximum also 1 hour. So there's so many things that we have to cover, and there's so many things we have to look into between this short period of time. It's not like we control the entire process.
And link back to the point that I mentioned about we need to wait for a long time of process before going to the airfield. If we got dragged in the beginning, meaning that we might not be able to film certain activities when we enter the airfield itself, because the flight schedule, they won't wait for you until you come inside the airfield. When it's time for them to land, they'll just land. So if we miss the timing, right, meaning we miss the
entire process, activities, and so on. So that also happens to our third filming session. That happens to our third filming session, which is basically at Sepang, which we got stuck at the security clearance for nearly
1.5 hours.
1.5
nearly
hours.
2 hours, I would say.
I would say 2 hours, because we arrived earlier. So we got stuck there for 2 hours. And
by the time we went inside the airfield, the plane is already parked nicely.
Yeah, original plan is that we are supposed to film the plane,
Landing.
the aircraft landing.
Yep.
And then taxi to the parking bay and so on. So we got to get all those footages. Apparently we missed out because basically we got stuck at the security clearance.
Yeah, this is what unexpected.
Yeah, unexpected.
And if for me, right, I think when we were filming in Penang, the hardest challenge is with the weather.
Yeah.
Because you remember during in Penang,
that
what
is
terrible memories. Okay, so the weather is like sunny, rain, and continuously.
And the gap is just probably like 10 to 15 minutes away.
Normally when it starts to rain, right, before it starts to rain, it will have like a drizzle kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, that day, when the rain comes,
it's just all of a sudden.
Directly pour over without having any signs of like, oh, it's gonna rain soon, let's hide. No, it's directly and then we have to, with our camera and our equipment, we have to run all the way to the warehouse, some place where we can cover.
Got sheltered.
Yeah.
I mean, this is also very first time I experienced such terrible weather. Like the rain, just as I said, the rain and stop, right? It just gap between like 10-15 minutes. So we couldn't really predict like when the rain could come, when the rain could stop, and the schedule is running.
Yeah.
Things is going on. We are just like praying the weather is going to be good, and also we just can't.
Yeah, I remember
expect.
I remember one day before we go into the airfield, right? It's already started raining like cats and dogs. And then the person in charge said that it's no use to send us inside the airfield so early because there's no place for you to hide from the rain.
Yeah.
And we were like squatting at the side of the road waiting, looking at the rain like when is it gonna stop? And then like we can't do anything as well. Like we are not sure what are we supposed to do. And then we also went to Starbucks to get some coffee for a little bit of comfort. And then we were talking about we look like those typical successful men with a Starbucks in our hand.
Yeah. So this is part where we doing productions, filming production, or photography production, we always face is the weather, especially when we are doing outdoor. And this particular weather in Penang is definitely the worst I ever faced in my career.
Yeah, exactly. And in Penang, it was raining so heavily, but in Sepang, right, the weather was hot like hell.
Yeah.
And I almost suffered from like heat stroke. And then I have to go inside the cockpit because there's aircon.
Yeah.
And I was inside there enjoying the aircon. And then suddenly there's a drip of water drop on my pants. I'm like, why is this aircon dripping
water leaking. Aircon too cold.
That's also the part that excites me the most. Like just now you mentioned also entering the cockpit.
Yeah, imagine in the past, or probably as a normal person, when you board a plane, passenger seats is where you can go. That's it. But through this project, it allowed us to enter the cockpit for the to be honest, to myself, it really excites me to the max because I finally able to look into how does a flight cockpit looks like.
Yeah.
And with so many buttons.
Yeah, I remember when I first went in the cockpit, I was like, there's no the steering wheel, and I'm like, how are they driving this?
It depends on the model of the aircraft. Like some of it actually using joysticks style, and certain aircraft is actually using the so-called the wheel.
Like what you mentioned, like we've never been inside cockpit before, so we only have how the cockpit looks like in our imagination.
Yeah,
but actual fact, when you went inside the cockpit, it's like a different thing. Like there's like whole button all over your head and back also. So inside the cockpit, there's like 2 pilots, and then you have to stand inside with your gear. And then somehow you have to be careful not to accidentally, sometimes there's button behind you.
Yeah, correct.
So I was a bit scared that I might mistouch any button and
correct.
something that happened.
Yeah.
And you're also able to interview the pilot as well.
Yeah. And just as usual, whenever there's production, we will definitely engage with people from different levels. So that also giving us an opportunity to speak with people from different levels, from different responsibilities. Like when we are at the Sepang side, right, there's moment where you went for the warehouse shooting, and I was staying with another officer in the runway, right? That particular moment while waiting for the aircraft to take off, initially in the plan itself, like we thought we're going to fail to grab the footage of the aircraft takeoff because basically the place that we can access and also where the aircraft is going to be taking off, right, is too far away. With our 770-200, probably in my thought is just we couldn't reach. And also because like the runway is actually on another side of the building. So I assume we couldn't get anything. And while waiting for it, and the officer suddenly shout, no, 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 they changed the runway. The runway is going to be next to us. Like imagine that on that moment, I got rushed from one side of the building to another side of the building. And you know what's the best? The ground staff, right? The ground staff that I talk to them when I'm in the air side, right? They purposely bring a staircase, the staircase that connect to the flight, right? To the spot, and they told me, naik sini pasti nampak. They purposely get the staircase to one side of the runway, which is not runway, it's actually a storage area. So I went up on the staircase. Perfect. The view was
giving
like
you
perfect.
the best spot.
Giving us the best spot. It wasn't in the plan originally. And also originally the officer also told me that I guess we couldn't grab any view of the aircraft taking off because it's gonna be another side of the runway. But all of a sudden,
because of that staircase,
not just only the staircase, the ATC, the tower, actually giving instruction to turn into another runway, which is like they never expected.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, just coincident by luck, we managed to grab footage of the flight taking off.
Yeah, I remember our another colleague also mentioned that when she was taking photos inside the cockpit, right, she actually heard the preparations of the pilots, the conversation between the pilot and the tower.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that's very interesting. And like what I mentioned just now, like when you are able to go inside the airfield, seeing so many planes in such a close distance itself is really, really exciting. And also something that never get tired is that seeing airplanes taking off and landing up so close, not everyone has the chance to see in such close distance. Even though I've seen like at least 10 planes taking off and landing, but I'm still very excited whenever there's a plane coming.
Landing inbound and outbound.
Oh.
To a person that really liking aircraft so much, right? That is like the best. The best moments.
And also I want to bring up the place where we were staying, right? Also allows us to have such a great view where we can see the taking off and landing off of the airplane.
Yeah, that is at Penang.
Even the second bridge, we can also see from the place where we were staying.
Yeah, it's not planned. We didn't meant to actually rent the place as where our accommodation at first because we never expected the view from the balcony itself. It just literally
when I was searching in Airbnb, to be honest, there's reviews saying that you can see the airport. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, I can see the airport, that's it. But I never expect that you can see the airport, meaning you can see the plane landing and taking off.
Just right in your face. But it's not like literally right in your face, so close. We still have to use our telelens in order to capture like the flight taking off.
But for phone, it's like 2 times, then you are able to get a good shots like that. Another thing is that leave an impression in my mind, which I don't know if it's okay to say this. That is like, okay, we say that we have a schedule for filmings, right? So one of the schedule is 2 parties, they have some sort of like a exchange gift kind of period.
Oh, okay, okay. Some memento exchange.
Because of the process that we mentioned just now, like
the security
delay, something like that. So one of the parties, they arrived late, about like 1 hour, nearly 2 hours, something like that also as well. So everyone was waiting at the airfield, including another party CEO wearing coat, and that time was like hot and then rain, hot, rain, no place to sit, so you have to stand. So we were waiting them. Everyone was waiting them.
Also, the main reason is because the security post was too busy. And also there is some mistake submission in terms of documents. So that's why they got stuck at the security post for nearly, I think, 1 to 1.5 hours. I mean, at that moment, I don't really get it as in like, from my perspective and also experience, right, probably just 30 minutes security post. But until the point when we are at Sepang, you got stuck for nearly 2 hours. That is the moment that I started to understand, wow, the security clearance, the process is really taking so long. I think for us during Penang time, right, why we can actually go in smoothly, like between 30 minutes and something like that, is because we go in very early.
Like 5, 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, we go in very early, like including collecting the pass, went through the security check. I guess like probably we went in quite early, so that's why it's still not crowded or even busy yet.
In Sepang, we went in, I think, not mistaken, 8 a.m., something like that.
Somewhere
So
8.
this is the time where there's a lot of contractors started to
workers.
wanted to go in the airfield.
And imagine like Sepang is actually 10 times bigger, crowded compared to Penang airport. So it's sort of understandable.
Yeah, I mean, it's an experience lah for me personally and for us, the whole team as well. But like I mentioned just now, I've never flown an aircraft before. So before that, I was not so confident as in why will the client engage us to film an aircraft. But have you ever flown any projects related to aircraft before?
That was back in 2018 for Malaysia Airline. It's also introducing and also launching of their new route from Malaysia to, I couldn't remember what is it. So there is also water canyon salute. There is also, exchange of memento.
Is it almost like similar things?
No, not as big scale as what we are filming this time. Because like that is more sort of like event types. Exchange memento.
But you still managed to get close to the aircraft.
Not really.
Also, this time is the first time you.
This is the very first time that I went into airfield and get so close to the runway, to an aircraft, and so on. And for the first time, knowing how air cargo actually operate on ground in terms of activities, loading, like the turnaround time,
and how the warehouse operates as well.
Correct. So that's why I would say, our job, right? Probably some people will ask, okay, so what does a creative production company do? Our main description on paper is basically we are turning your story, we are turning your message into content so that the audience know what you do and also understand about your message. On another side, right, the actual one, right, is actually to fulfill, allow us to experience and also to fulfill different jobs or even business or even brands in the world, right, in a different way. Like this project itself, we get so close to the airport operations, the airline operations, and also even get so close to the cockpit. There's like is add-on knowledge to our life.
Yeah, like we keep on mentioning that not everyone has this chance to get this close to an aircraft or even go inside a cockpit and interview pilots as well.
Yeah, I mean, as in even though like air cargo planes cockpit, right, is, or even the pilot couldn't experience like how the passenger flight pilots have, like air stewardess to serve you the food and also serve you the drinks.
Oh, speaking about this, right? I saw a bunch of cup noodles at the back of the
they have to self-serve. They have to serve by themselves. They have to self-service. So but then when I was talking to one of the pilot, right, while waiting for the entire process and everything, so I asked him this question, as in like, what is the differences between air cargo pilot and passenger flight pilot? And I wasn't too sure whether this is a right message or even a right information. So according to him, that he had been flying passenger flights in the past 15 years. So afterwards, that he switched to air cargo, flying cargo flight. And the differences is that he said, flying a passenger flight, you couldn't fly as you like. The meaning of fly as you like, as in like, let's say for example, you know that there is a air turbulence or even storms coming, right? As a passenger flight pilot, you have to make decision or like detour or even trying to avoid all these storms and everything. So because if you went through that storms or even air turbulence, right, there will be a very bad experience for the passenger. And the passenger will go and complain. So you're gonna. But then as a cargo flight pilot, you don't have to worry about someone will complain you because basically you are carrying goods. The goods will never complain to you. So to them, it's just like they can make their own decision for the best of the journey without worrying, the passenger going to complain us. And you know what's funny, right? The lead pilot or even the chief pilot of the company, right, actually told us, even if let's say there is a passenger having bad services by the air stewardess or even bad services in the flight, right? Pilot was the one that kena.
Hmm?
If let's say the passenger went and complained about
Yeah,
their bad experience, the pilot will first kena. So this is something new to me. I never knew. Oh, if a passenger went and complained, right, pilot will kena first. That's like wow.
Humans. Don't complain the wrong thing.
Yeah, so that is a new knowledge to me in terms of like at first I thought, a cargo pilot and also passenger flight pilot, they are sort of like similar things. To them it's almost similar, just the experience is different.
One is you don't have to bother about any complaints.
Yeah. You have to
Just
another side you have to jaga. I mean, for another side is that you have to jaga the passenger experience, comfort, and also need to worry about if there's anyone going to make complaint and something like that.
Yeah. For you, how would you rate this project from 1 to 10, considering every aspect?
Considering every aspect, 1 to 10, I will rate 6.
Oh, I thought you would go higher
You know why?
because of the waiting process and the
No,
schedule
no, no,
changing.
no. I rate 6 is because I'm expecting there will be more
More big.
exciting similar project or even now I film the flight aircraft ground. What if one day we can film flying next side by side? Oh, that will be another level. So that's why I rate 6 first.
Right.
So there's still room for improvement.
Yeah. At first, I wanted to rate 7, and then the 3 marks deduct by all the waiting process and the changing of schedule. But after hearing what you say, maybe I'll rate 6 as well, so we can wait for more
Exciting project in next.
Yeah, so basically this episode is we wanted to share our filming experience with you all because we feel that this is quite an exciting and interesting experience which not everyone has the chance to do so. So let us know in the comment section, what do you think about all this kind of filming experience, and maybe from what we mentioned, maybe that you have like a different thoughts, different sides.
Or even if let's say you would like to know more about us,
our filming experience, maybe we can discuss, share more about our some exciting filming experience in the future. So thank you for listening to the Nasi Lemak Podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.